Oh, really? Oh, I thought they had to be a resident.
They could be somebody from Naperville, for all you know. Or they could be picking it up for somebody else.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
We're live.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I just assumed that was
Alright.
because they came in officially and they picked it up paperwork.
Amy asked me that question.
I don't wanna have somebody.
I've got 59.
And then Colin said, I'm not so sure about that.
59.
Makes sense. So if you were to write it down, then I got you.
See me? You waiting for that minute to pass down there?
You bet.
We're by the book here, Pat.
Gotta be.
If I don't, somebody's gonna bet me.
Yeah, probably don't.
That's true.
Call the Oglesby City Council meeting to order.
Augubright.
Here.
Cullinan.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Udis.
Here.
Guevara.
Here. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comments on agenda items only.
Greg Stein, Oglesby. I'm really here just to see the flock camera demonstration and whether it's license plate readers or the body cameras for the police. But the agendas and the minutes and the bills, being the minutes and the bills, Tom mentioned it at one of the meetings where he discussed this, and latched together in one PDF. These are horizontal, these are vertical, and it's okay on looking at it on this because you can twist it, but on a laptop or a computer, it's kind of tough. And also, I kind of like to see the bills come out almost along with the agenda, like Friday, or maybe the day after today, have the bills post to the thread. Oh, Tommy's idea was 3 columns on the page to download it, and that way you wouldn't have to superimpose them together, juxtaposition them, and then we could maybe see them the day after the meeting. If they get passed tonight, then we could see them without being here to get this tonight. Okay? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll try to work to make it easier for you.
No, approved minutes from the November 7th, 2022 meeting. And before we do, I've got a comment to make, and he says, Commissioner Cullinan responded, no, you call me a liar. That isn't true because you don't talk to me. But I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Guevara.
Aye. I need a motion and second to approve the bills in the amount of $87,757.32 as presented for payment.
I will make a motion to approve bills as presented for payment.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Guevara.
Aye. I'm gonna make a little exception here. We're gonna jump down to number 9. I need a motion to accept the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners' recommendation to promote Officer Ditlinger to the rank of sergeant. An oath to be given.
I'll make a motion, we accept the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners' recommendation to promote Officer Duttlinger to the rank of sergeant.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivara.
Aye. We'd,
Evan, want to go up for your oath? I just stand. Want to stand in front of me? Sure. And then you can set your paper down if you want to look at it. Sure. All right, perfect. I, Evan Duttlinger,
I, Evan Duttlinger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
enforce the state laws and the city ordinances
enforce the state laws and the city ordinances
impartially,
impartially,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the
of
office
sergeant to the best of my ability.
of sergeant to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Then we have someone, I believe, to pin the badge on you.
that's his uncle, retired Sergeant Rick Bishop. Watch so you don't stick you.
No pressure, Rick.
There you go, kid. Congratulations.
Next on the agenda is a presentation of the Fox camera system. We've got somebody here that's gonna make a presentation.
Yeah, Chief is.
We switched that around on the agenda, so all you folks don't have to sit here and listen to this. But, you're welcome to exit if you want to. What I put in front of you, board members, is information on the Plaque camera safety system. And essentially, what the camera system is, you see the picture on the very first page. It's a pole that they put normally near an intersection. They are at times placed in neighborhoods. We don't plan on placing them directly into a neighborhood. It's solar powered, and the camera and the solar panel are both on that pole. 7 out of 10 crimes are committed with the use of a vehicle, using a vehicle. So the idea of this is that vehicles that enter and exit our community, once it's activated by motion, so once the vehicle passes a camera, the camera picks up either a license plate. If it doesn't have a license plate, it can pick up things such as roof racks, bumper stickers. They've been known to say that there was a bumper sticker of some sort. The person, for example, there's been an armed robbery at Casey's elsewhere where the clerk only knew that it was a sticker on the back, didn't know what the sticker was, but they knew it was between midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning. So they went to the camera system, looked between midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning, and they were able to get all the vehicles that went through the camera at that time with stickers on the back, happened to be a Cub sticker, and were able to stop that person and make the arrest on that person. The next sheet on there tells you that it's motion activated, that it works 24/7, it works in the dark as well as the light, and that it's solar powered. The next page is just a picture of the different types of things it can pick up. For example, sometimes people say, alls I saw was a black vehicle. Again, you can go to the time and that location, and you can put black vehicle, and it'll give you all the black vehicles that came through there. Or, like I say, a roof rack, or all sorts of, there's 25 different identifiers that the system uses. It's wireless and solar powered. It's very similar to that of a cell phone. Once the picture's taken, it's processed, it's downloaded into the cloud, and then it's available for 30 days. Unless there's an investigation on it, that photograph is deleted automatically by the system after 30 days. It's used for things such as hit and runs, kidnappings, property crimes, stolen vehicles, break-ins. It does have the National Crime Information Center connected to it. It's got Amber Alerts connected to it. So there are communities that are recovering stolen vehicles, missing persons, missing children. Why we would like to have it in Oglesby, the police department has different types of tools. This adds to our tools that we can use, that our officers and investigators can use to solve crimes. The difference many times is a crime, investigators start looking at a crime that was committed and it may take weeks to get it resolved. Many times with this information, they're able to take this lead of a license plate or whatever and solve the crime a whole lot quicker. There are already several that exist in LaSalle County, several throughout the state, and several across the United States. There are different locations where neighboring communities that have had crimes that were committed, and they were able to track the vehicle all the way to the point where the crime was committed, and then all the way back to where it came from, where the vehicle came from. Even as far as out of state as Arizona, they've tracked them back, that the vehicle went all the way back there, and that when the officers realized that was the vehicle they wanted, they were able to type it in and see that it had been in Arizona from Illinois that next morning. The goal is to prevent additional crimes. Anybody that commits a crime, if they're not caught, they go on to commit other crimes normally. So our goal is to get them when they're committing these crimes and have it over with. Neighboring communities have used it, and recently we had a prison escapee that was caught out of Wisconsin. The arrest was made on the person right here locally in LaSalle County. It's been used in a case where an 8-year-old was shot, and they were able to get the person and have him arrested. It's been used recently to solve a homicide. In Bloomington, Illinois, we have a whole list here, I won't bother to read them all, but many crimes that were committed in Bloomington in the last 60 days that were resolved by this camera system. It's in over 1,500 cities and growing every day. That number grows every day. Wherever Flock gets it approved, like in our case, we're asking for 10, gets that many more every day. There's commonly some concerns about it. For whatever reason, people are concerned that we're building a database and that we're keeping that information forever to build it against a particular person or vehicle. Again, like I said, the data lasts on the system for 30 days and it's automatically deleted unless you contact the company and say, don't delete anything with this license plate because we're doing an investigation on that person.
And now,
Otherwise,
Chief, when you do that, that's every camera system will keep that vehicle information, right? Not just Oglesby's. So let's say you're looking for license plates ABC123. Every Flock camera system is looking for that ABC123, correct? It's going to give you updates since you're the local jurisdiction looking for it to tell you where they're at.
so what they call that is a hot list.
Okay.
So if you're looking for something specific, and it might be, the whole plate might be ABC123, but this system, if you type in ABC, can show you everywhere any plate was in that time period with ABC as well. So you don't even need the full plate.
Thank you.
But it's, anytime you're looking for something, the officers enter it, which goes on a hot list. And then everybody in the nation would get notified because it's on that hot list.
Okay.
The information can be shared with other law enforcement agencies. The concern with sharing it with anybody is what someone might use it for. So, as you see, I've given you a draft policy that I've drafted, and in that, It's very strict about the rules of the camera system, who you can share it with, and for what purposes. We won't share that information that we get with any other law enforcement agency unless they have a like policy. So they have to have a policy that they're not just giving it out in the general public, and they're not sharing it with, you know, the officer's girlfriend or whoever. Again, our system's not gonna be in specific neighborhoods. It's always a concern that it's only in this neighborhood. This is gonna be equally spread throughout the town. Not specific to any one person or location.
Chief, I've got a question for you. You said it's gonna be solar and battery backup. How long is that backup good for?
So it seems to be that everybody's saying about 60 days. The good thing about this
No,
is,
I mean, not so much of what's being recorded. How much energy is there gonna be back up? Because if it's solar, say if, you know, the sun is what, from 10 until 2?
it makes it
something
through
like
the
that?
night, but, and I don't know how long it charges, but their flock is commonly coming out and checking the system every 60 days. So we don't own the cameras themselves, we only own the data. And so they come out and check the system. So as far as the particulars, as far as how it holds a charge or anything like that, I don't know. That's up to them.
That
as far
would
as
be,
maintenance.
that would be part of my concern. The other part of that is, could we have if the solar runs out, we have a backup the other way? I sure wouldn't want the cameras to go down, because there wasn't enough backup. And then in that particular time period would cause us a void.
I had the same concern initially, and I've probably talked to over 20 law enforcement agencies that have this system, and I've mentioned it, and nobody has that issue whatsoever.
Chief, how long have they been in operation? Chief, how long have they been in operation with this system? I mean, ballpark. We talking years, or we talking months?
I believe initially it's, you know, the first system was out about 10 years ago.
So they must have a successful model if they've been in business for 10 years with this product, you would think. Or else nobody would be using it.
Yep.
I got a question.
Under concerns, the second sentence says this: there is a policy in place that punishes users who use the information for non-law enforcement purposes. Is that what you're referencing when you're talking about the local policy of some
Yes,
sort?
Yes. Yep. And so if other agencies don't have a policy, like policy, we wouldn't share it with them. Flock highly recommends that you have that policy so it's not abused.
So where are the 10 cameras gonna be at? I don't see that in the name.
Well, I think that's kind of on purpose.
Okay, well, I work in LAD, you can see it when you're driving into LAD, so it's not
You'll
like
see
we're
ours
gonna be
too.
undercover
You'll
or
be able to
anything,
see
guys.
ours too. So essentially, let me just put it this way.
It's on all the exits of town, right?
You won't be able to get in and out of town without it catching you.
Yeah, it's 5.
And the other,
You
I'm
won't be
just
able to
making
get
sure
in
that
and
end
out.
of the town is covered too, that's what I'm saying, okay.
I just want them to get your license.
Okay.
when
that's where they're,
Yeah, I got it, I'm just making sure that's how it's set up, so.
yeah, it is.
Alright.
There's a list of a few, I think there's like 38 local departments that have it, but I've listed a few there. Like you said, LAD has one, Ottawa's got it, Morris, Grundy County, Peru, Marseilles. So there's the list of them. The next thing that I've attached there for you is just simply an article showing you how important the Will County State's Attorney thinks it is. He's giving out of his office grants for $2,500 to law enforcement agencies who don't have them, because he wants every law enforcement agency in Will County to have them. Just showing you what he thinks of them. And then the last thing is the draft policy. Good?
I think so. Anybody have any questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Next is, place on file a quote for the possible purchase of the camera system.
Right, so in your packet here, you're gonna see on the quote, for 2 years, the first year cost is a little bit more because of all the installation. So the first year is gonna be $30,100, and the annual recurring total is $25,000 per year for this system. So the total contract amount for 2 years would be $55,100, with the understanding that thereafter it would be $25,000 per year to maintain the system. And
so
again, we don't own it. We-
they're hosting all the pictures on the
on their
cloud and all that kind of
their
stuff.
cloud,
okay.
Yep,
How many cameras would we have?
10.
10.
Yep.
How long is this contract just good for the initial 2 years, and then it's a renew every year after that or something? Is that how we're
That
looking
would
to
be
do?
correct. It's a 2-year
Okay.
contract, and then we'd be up for renewal in 2 years. Any discussion on that, guys, or?
Motion and second to place it on file.
I'll make a motion that we, place on file the quote for possible purchase of the flock camera system for $55,100 for a 2-year contract.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Approve ordinance 1204-112122, an ordinance regarding the appointment and lateral transfer to the Oglesby Police Department.
So we've talked about this for several meetings now, and I think we're finally there. I think you guys probably have a pretty good understanding of what we're trying to do. We did have a pretty good turnout for our new, higher list, but I just think it makes sense in today's climate, the way all these police departments are doing it, to also establish a secondary list, which is called a lateral transfer list, to have also, just in case we have a test where we only get a few people to partake, and then we have this lateral list to also choose from if we so choose. So, with that being said, I'll make a motion that we
Can
approve.
we do a quick discussion on it? I know this has been on the agenda for a few times, and it kept kind of moved around and stuff like that. I know there was some last-minute legal things that were concerns. Were those rectified, whatever those were?
Yeah. I think they were pretty minor, weren't they, Pat, for the most part?
Yeah, it was actually just the format of the ordinance and.
Just the format
some
stuff,
minor
okay.
language changes. There was one exhibit that Terry got to me this morning that wasn't attached to the ordinance when you got it in your packet.
They have it.
Yeah, it's here.
It's attached to the end now. That's Exhibit A, which is attached to Exhibit A, which is the modification of the Fire and Police Commission's rules and regulations to accommodate the secondary list. And the law, the statute that authorizes this secondary list says that the Board of Police and Fire Commissioners have to pass that particular, or have to publish that particular notice in order to make their decision effective. And I don't think that's probably been done yet, has it?
It has not.
Okay, so you guys could adopt this ordinance, but the Board of Police and Fire Commissioners need to approve those changes and then publish that notice.
I believe the board has already approved their changes, and put it in their bylaws, because our understanding was they had to do it first. But you're right, the public notice does need to go out with whatever the statute is on that.
Are you gonna follow up on that with them?
Yeah,
Terry?
yeah, we will work together with them to get that taken care of.
Yeah, cause it doesn't go into effect until I think it's 12 or 14 days after that publication. takes
Correct,
place.
yeah. Any other, just, okay, I'll make a motion, we approve, 1204-112122, an ordinance regarding appointments and lateral transfers to the Oglesby Police Department.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Approve ordinance 1205-120522, an ordinance authorizing an amendment to the city zoning map relating to Lot 4 in Block 9 in Bent subdivision to the city of Oglesby, LaSalle County.
So you may all recall this was on the agenda at the last meeting, to review the recommendation of the Plan Commission with regard to the request filed for the rezoning of this particular lot. The Plan Commission recommended it, you guys approved it at the last meeting, This just formalizes that decision. There was an error that Jason found with regard to the PIN number in the ordinance, but I corrected that and resent it to Amy. So the PIN number is really kind of superfluous. It's the legal description, which was correct originally. That's been corrected, just to let you know.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve 1205 an ordinance authorizing an amendment to the city's zoning map relating to Lot 4 and Block 9 in Bend subdivision to the city of Oglesby, LaSalle County, Illinois.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Abstain.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivara.
Aye. Discuss and vote on the issue of the health, dental, vision insurance in regarding to the meeting held on 11/21/22 with past and present city employees. The city employees elected to stay with United Health. There was a cost increase. The reason that they almost unanimously elected to stay that way and go that way is that the HMO plan that we presented would have been cheaper and better in some regards. If you went out of network, they didn't pay for anything. And that was a concern with the employees, and they preferred to pay the higher amount and stay with the present plan. I have approached the IMEA to see if the cities could go into a co-op type fashion to look at insurance. This is a big ticket item and one we gotta look at all avenues to keep our costs in line. And Laura's here, she can answer the questions a little better than I do, we can, but otherwise, I'm looking for a motion and second to approve the medical insurance for our active and retired employees for the next year.
I do have a question, Mayor, just about the whole plan. Laura, if you, would you mind coming up for a second? Does the state of Illinois have a group health insurance plan that is open to municipalities to enroll in? Is there a state bid, I guess is what I'm asking, for health insurance for municipalities to join in like a cooperative setting? I know there used to be.
You're above my knowledge there. That's not something that we would be typically involved in, so I cannot answer that question.
Okay, I was just curious.
I could try to do some research on it, but it's not something that we would be involved in on any level.
Okay,
To my knowledge.
fair enough. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
You know, I'm not aware of
And I'm not
anything
either,
like
Terry.
that.
There used to be, Pat, because when I worked for the city of Mendota, we were enrolled in that. And I believe at that time, who was it? It was one of the big players, then it changed. Then they got away from it, and they probably got away from it for a reason. Either they stopped doing it, or it just wasn't as attractive.
Yeah,
So
the
I was just
costs are
curious.
so different in so
Yeah.
many different areas. I think that may be something that would mitigate against it, but I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I would like the IMEA to really take a look at it. We've got, 32, 34 member utilities. You know, it's a cost savings. I spent 10 years on a national health plan. You know, we can come with basically general, better insurance, cheaper insurance. Hopefully we'll be able to look at it. If not, we ought to take a look and maybe form on our own co-op.
The Illinois Municipal League would be a good bet to look at too, Don.
It
Even a
would-
bigger group,
That would be a big group then.
yeah.
I will go that way too. So for through discussions, I need a motion and second to approve it.
Is there any details in here about how much the premiums went up by? Just so we can know and put that out publicly.
I think 4,000 a month.
Are you talking about the total amount billed to the city?
So I know, my understanding is all the employees have already agreed to whatever the new cost-sharing amount is. I'm just curious what the cost increase from the city's point of view would be.
The initial increase was 22%. We negotiated that down 3% to a 19% increase overall. We put it out to open market, trying to get competitive bids so that we could then go back again to United Healthcare and use that as leverage. We did not receive one competitive bid. As a matter of fact, we received declined quotes from some companies. So we were not able to get anything below that 3% reduction from United Healthcare.
Was it last year that we had 3 options to pick from, or was that 2 years ago?
Last year, we had, our most competitive company was United Healthcare. We were with Humana, so we were looking between United Healthcare and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Humana declined to quote the group straight up, would not quote it. They said due to being non-competitive in this market segment now. Then Blue Cross came in the closest, but their plans would have taken the group from 100% coinsurance to 80% coinsurance, and you were looking at $3,000 to $3,500 deductibles. So when I tried to push that through, calling it competitive data, United Healthcare said it's not competitive data because their plan was not like enough to what they had.
Is this kind of the trend that things are going now? Because I'm just surprised that we have to do it it just seems like it's a thing every year. At the end of the year, we're having to renegotiate this for our employees and.
Well, luckily enough, due to your market segment, we can negotiate.
Okay.
If you were in a different market segment, if you were in the below 51, we couldn't even negotiate rates. They don't allow negotiations on those rates. So being in the middle market group, that gives us the ability to negotiate. And if we can get competitive rates, that's always a great thing, because then I can use that as leverage to try to get those, or we can use that as leverage to try to get those rates down, which we shop it every year, in the hopes that we can get the best deal for the city, which is always what we want, always what we strive for.
I appreciate you taking the time to explain
No
that.
problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion that we approve the new health dental vision insurance in regards to the meeting held 11/21/22 with past and present city employees.
Second.
Augubright,
No.
Cullinan,
Abstain.
Curran,
Yes.
Udis,
Aye.
Labarn.
Yes. I need approval to go out for bids to tear down the home located at 620 South Columbia Avenue in Oglesby.
I think last meeting I asked that we table this so I could find out a little bit more information. The information I was able to get was the last one that we have, I think it was around $8,500. And if I remember right, Tommy's concern was the amount of time it took. It did take a couple years for that to go through. So I think in my mind, I was thinking about the commercial property ones that we had for $50,000. The fact that we're talking about approximately somewhere around $8,500, could be years to do it, and there's not even a scheduled time of when the next grant opening is gonna be, I probably would now go with the recommendation that we probably should look to go out for bids for it then.
So somebody's flipping that house in Columbia, which I don't know how worse this one could be compared to that one, but do we even look into that?
You're talking about the north one, right?
No, the south one across from my apartment building, by Archway.
Yeah, north.
That-
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
north. Losing my
that
mind.
went to.
Tax sale.
Auction, somebody bought it. This house up here, Jim Kennedy isn't here tonight.
Yeah, Jim sent an email this week, Tommy, that I saw.
Yeah, I saw it too, but
It said that he looked at it 2 or 3 years ago, and it was in really bad shape then, and he can only imagine it.
okay,
I saw that too.
okay.
There were a lot of water issues in the basement and stuff. He pointed out.
Okay.
He did fix up the one in the back, that passed, but the one in the front
Right.
Yes.
This is the bigger house in the front.
needs to be torn down.
My issue is now we're gonna have a half a lot that we're gonna have to mow forever.
Well, hopefully maybe somebody will buy it.
Okay. Could park in there or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would, but it's, you know, what are you gonna do? You got an eyesore.
Okay.
I need a second.
I'll make the motion that we go out for bids to tear down home located at 620 South Columbia Avenue, Oglesby, Illinois.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan. Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Discussion on the city's tax levy for the 2022 tax year.
I think it's probably should say 23, I'm thinking, but,
No, it's 22.
is it 2022? Okay. Well, the reason I put that on there is, if you recall, the last several years, I've put up my argument on the last two meetings of the year, unsuccessfully, but we've had that argument the last two meetings of the year, and I remember in a couple of them, the problem was, hey, even though we talk about it and stuff like that, we get to the last one of the year, and the answer is, if we don't approve it, we're not gonna be able to get our taxes for next year. So that's why I've asked, can we have that conversation ahead of time? So that's why I had to put this on there, because I'd like to talk about that a little bit.
So insurance just went up 19% this year. Continue on. Cause everything else is go up like crazy now, so.
I agree, but it's the same thing that I've talked about. Now granted, we don't have the stuff from Joel Hopkins. I think I CC'd you on the email when I reached out to Joel Hopkins to see if he's done any pre-work on that, and he said he kind of really hasn't. He's gonna look into it next week after the holidays, but he did hint towards the idea that he's still looking at the 5% is what the recommendation is. And I still say the same thing. My concern is raising property taxes, the maximum allowed amount, without having a truth and taxation hearing, if we don't have a good justification for it. And what I'm saying by good justification, I understand costs are always, I'm not saying not to raise them. What I'm saying is not raising them to the maximum. Because for 4 years in a row now, we've had our audits, and we've had a surplus every year. So that's my concern of raising it. And if you look, if you remember when the lady was here that gave us the audit, I asked the question, because we have a lot of stuff in our fund that makes it look even better than normal because of the cost increases we made to infrastructure. So the specific question I asked her was, even without the infrastructure costs, did we still have a surplus? She didn't know that information at the time. So she did respond later, about a couple weeks later, and I put that email response in everybody's packet. And the quote that she basically got, she gave a lot of numbers and stuff like that, but the important thing was there was not much excess. But the point is, there was still a surplus. Even with all the increases and stuff going on, and I understand what you're saying, Tommy, insurance and stuff is going up, but we don't have next year's audit yet. What we have is this year's audit. And that's my concern, is I'd like to go with a different number than just the maximum at all times.
So the raise is probably gonna be around 60, I'm guessing, because it was 54 or something last year.
I thought it was 40, but yeah, maybe it
Oh,
was.
so
Maybe
even
it
better for my statement here. So 4,000 a month times 12, 48,000 is what we're paying more in health insurance. So that will probably cover that, and that's about it.
So, again,
Yeah.
surplus 4 years in a row. So my question would be, and again, we don't have the thing in front of us now to put, because it's not on file yet. I just want to have the conversation early. So my question to the rest of the council is, what would it take to not raise the property taxes to our maximum allowable amount?
Probably wouldn't have to spend as much money as we're gonna have to. You take a look at it, and you have to be realistic. The second fee is, and it's on my desk, I didn't put it in here. $300,000.
$339,000, yes, sir. That's just for the,
And you come down and you add the rest of that to that. You've got to double the size because we're at maximum capacity at the substation. That's $1 million expense. You need to complete the loop to the 12 so you can back feed from Alex, either way, or from Phoenix either way, to improve the reliability. Until you get the reliability to where it's at, you're not gonna see any growth. And to complete the loop with the transmission, you're looking at another $1 million. Plus, you've gotta come back at some point in time, is upgrade the east of 39 from 4 kV to 12 kV. Has to be done.
I agree with all your points, Mayor, absolutely. But those are infrastructure items, and we have raised some infrastructure costs for revenues that have come in. And right now, we're in the black on that. In fact, our audit was significantly good, but that was because of infrastructure costs. So to me, what I'm saying is, we're in a surplus even if we take those infrastructure revenue costs out. I understand there's gonna be a lot of costs that are gonna have to come to continue with
But
that.
part of our increase is because we've got state and federal grants.
True, and she accounted for that, I believe, in the email. It says because it goes over a lot of stuff. 700,000, 8,000, remove the infrastructure stuff,
You know,
remove the state and federal
we're
grants.
Probably the only municipality in not only the Illinois Valley, but probably the state that was able to step in and give a small increase to our commercial customers. We were able to do that. Nobody says, hey, thanks a lot, great job. You're not gonna get that. But that's good business sense.
I agree. Again, this is just my opinion. I believe that a lot of the problems in the state of Illinois is all these taxing, there's so many different taxing districts, and nearly all of them are always raising it to the maximum ability, even when it didn't call for it.
Well, we had a meeting here the other day on the TIF district. The only people that bothered to come was, LP High School. Our grade school district, school superintendent or nobody came. And Herb Clyde reminded me, the last time we met over there, he and I were assigned to sit on a disciplinary bench. But that's life.
I'm not saying not to raise property taxes, not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I'd like to be, if we continually have audits that have surpluses, I'd like to not raise it the maximum amount. I'd like to go off of some kind of aggregate off of consumer price index.
I don't think we're raising it a nickel more than we have to. And I'm sincere on
All right, well, I just want to start the conversation before.
that. Okay,
Thank you for that, Mayor.
you're welcome. Old business.
I do have one item under old business. I got contacted today by Surf Wireless. They were looking to do their fiber presentation tonight. And, you know, I told them, I said, we'd be very excited to have that, but it didn't get on our agenda in time. We already have another presentation. So I asked them if they can come to the December 5th meeting. Plus, I haven't seen the initial draft of their master build-out plan yet, so I'd like to be able to see that first, so that way I can be prepared to ask good questions. And if I have access to that, I'll make sure residents can get a chance to see that too. By getting it on the agenda, I think we'll have a lot more turnout, because people are probably very interested in when fiber's coming and things like that.
So the master build-out's gonna be at this presentation. They actually have it done, and they're not just gonna be.
That I haven't.
Oh, we're gonna do this now.
So I followed up.
'Cause it'd be pretty slow, I think, but.
Well, this process has been, you know, as you know, it's been a 3.5-year process from start to so far today. So I had a conversation midweek asking, hey, where are we at? Are we gonna come down presentation? And what I heard was that the master build-out plan draft is not ready yet. So that's why I was a little confused why I got reached out today that they wanna do a presentation. So I'm not exactly sure on that, but the moment I have something, I'll make sure I share that with people.
Old business, and I'm not quite sure, we've got we sent out some notices on Safe Routes to School project. And I know you have a comment that a resident has asked you to read. Don't we have a meeting scheduled?
We don't have one scheduled yet, but I need to talk to Jim Clenard when he gets back about that. I did get an email that there was more comments from other residents that had some concerns, so I want to make sure.
So go ahead.
I want to make sure that we address those concerns. I didn't know the right way to do that, because those comments, I think, were part of the survey process that the engineering firm did. I look forward to releasing some of those comments because they are very interesting. But I don't know how they go about that. This one in particular, I had someone reach out to me, and she said she couldn't make the meetings, and I said, you know, if you have a comment that you'd like a public comment, I'd be more than happy to read that for you. So then she said she would like this read, so I was gonna read it for her.
Well, I have a comment from a resident, Carrie and Mary Jo Stopa. They're quite concerned on some things, and if we don't have a meeting scheduled for this, we need to have one. Before this goes further, we need to address their concerns. Some of them, I believe, are addressable and we can take care of. Some we may not be able to.
Most of the ones that I saw from the engineering survey that came back, I thought were very addressable. There was a lot of things that didn't seem to make sense. I think that people were confused on. I don't want to go into the details of it because I don't know what I'm authorized to release on that yet, since it's not mine to give. But this one, I was going to read that comment because she asked me to read it. Okay. So
If you wanna, when you wanna do it,
I was gonna do it right, well, I told her I would, so. All right, so I got a message from Jody Mahoney who had some concerns, and this is the verbatim message she wanted me to read. Hello, my name is Jody Mahoney, and I am a home located at 824 Clark Street. I'm reaching out to you as commissioner to express my concerns in opposition to the grant-funded sidewalk project that will be completed. 26 years ago, when we built this house, there was no discussion or disclosure regarding the potential for sidewalks. Subsequently, I'm planning the placement of the home in this parcel of property, the possibility of having strangers 8 feet into our yard. Thus, 8 feet closer to my home was not factored in. I'm requesting to be omitted from this project under grandfather clause. This project impedes on my privacy and will detract from home curb appeal as it consumes too much space in front of my yard. I really wish the city would have consulted with the homeowners, taxpayers, prior to decide this, her words, sorry, would be good for us. I raised 2 kids here on the street, and the biggest safety hazard is the speed of which cars travel up and down the road. Second to that, the road itself is in more danger of being classified as a safety hazard versus the sidewalks. I have met with Chamlin's Engineering and expressed to Jim Clenard my dame concerns and opposition. I am once again requesting to have my property receive a grandfather exclusion and respectfully request that the city offer some form of public comment through a forum for something that has this type of impact on property owners. So that's the comment there. Granted, she's not here right now because some of the questions I do have that, as I read it, one of the things that didn't seem to make sense to me is she makes specific reference to, I raised 2 kids here on the street and the biggest safety hazard is the speed of which cars travel up and down the road. So I didn't understand why that would lead to not wanting to have a sidewalk then for kids, but I guess it'd be a follow-up question.
So when we applied for this grant, we didn't talk to any of the homeowners we're gonna put sidewalks in their yard at?
We did
Did
several.
we notify them? What did we do?
We just did it at the meeting here. And we had.
Okay, I thought they were at least notified, hey, we're gonna put sidewalks in your front yards when we applied for this. Cause it's,
Are you saying at the
you
meeting?
just
when
drew
we
this
talked-
map without talking to the people that actually own that land and where you're gonna put the sidewalk?
Let me find out with Jim Clenard what the survey process was. I'm not
Okay.
sure if those dates were from earlier or if that was more recent. I don't know offhand if that survey was before we got the grant or after we got the grant.
Okay.
So that I don't know yet.
And Tom, just so you know, I think the sidewalks will be placed in the city property.
Well, yeah,
It's not their.
the right of way, it's the right of way, I
The right
know
of way.
that, but.
I understand, and in Stopa's letter here is that the sidewalk, and I didn't realize this, on the north side of Clark Street where it stops in the middle of the street.
South side, I think.
South side, I'm wrong, you're right.
Yeah. Well,
That's an issue, and the other issue that I have with that is with the sidewalk, is we had a resident on the street behind it, he filled in the swale. And the city at one time did a lot of work to relieve the flooding in there. And I don't know, I guess we don't have an easement to stop him from doing that. But I think we need to look at that. Before somebody else did it. That was our problem at Hickory. They just question, and we ended up with a mess on our hands. So, I think any meeting with the residents is in order, and, we have to address it. I have two other issues on their, old business, and before we, kind of move on. One is, we have a intergovernment agreement with the library that we have to provide, maintenance and janitorial services plus a whole other things until all the TIF districts are gone. And you can take a double look at it. And the other thing, Rich is gonna be retiring probably the next 2 years. I don't wanna wait until, he's gone before we look to hire somebody. You know, we're so shorthanded now, we can't get the work done, but I don't want him walking out the door with all that knowledge where all these little valves are and things, so, the council needs to consider that. So I'll move on to public comments.
During the meeting, Greg Stein again. During the meeting, I glanced over the minutes that are in the pack, in the file thing back there. I usually don't pick these up anymore. I download them, the agenda and the minutes. But I noticed that up to John's Sales and Service, the bills are being printed into the minutes to acquire back there. And these are the bills that were paid a month ago, attached to the minutes. These are the bills that you just paid tonight. I don't see a reason to waste all this paper and copy toner to put them out there in that rack twice, okay?
Thank you. Commissioners' reports.
I have nothing to report tonight.
I don't have anything there.
I got a couple things. We went out and purchased a brand new zero-turn mower. The price of the mower was $15,857, but we got a $6,000 trade-in on a 2016 mower, which brings the total cost of the mower to $9,857. Just hard keeping mowers going for the time we use them and that. And if anybody's got any questions, I've got my park department man here, and he can answer any questions that you guys need to know about purchasing a new mower, if anybody's interested. Okay. All right, now we have to go on with, the BB Gun Club starts next Wednesday, November 30th. Sign-ups are still available, either online or at City Hall. If you have any questions, contact the Parks Department at 815-883-8121. Second, recreational basketball for the 4th and 5th, 6th graders is also available for sign-up. Plenty of time for the parents to get their kids registered. The season starts in January. You can also contact the Park Department if you have any questions. Parks are closed for the season as well as the bathrooms. A new spiral slide was replaced at Memorial Park after a tree branch fell on the previous one and punctured a hole in it. And that's all I have for tonight.
Just a last reminder, Street Department, Wednesday will be the last day for any leaf pickups. If anybody still has a few out there yet, please make sure your piles are there prior to Wednesday morning or they will not be picked up anymore. The other thing, Mayor made a quick mention, we did get the estimated costs from the IMEA between Ameren, what the cost for the second delivery point would be, looking at $339,000. That is just for the connecting equipment. That isn't if we're gonna do any of that fancy switching stuff to where we can make redundancy through the city or something like that yet. So just the reason I'm telling you that is that the project's finally starting to move forward a little bit. We've been waiting like a year on it. So it's moving now. And the last thing, just to kind of echo what the mayor said earlier is, yes, we're gonna need to have some kind of future meeting or presentation for the Safe Route to School grant. I think there is some kind of confusion out there on a couple things at least. From my knowledge of what I've seen, a lot of the things I think can be summed up in with some presentation stuff. Like, for example, there was a couple people that was concerned that they would have to shovel their sidewalks or something like that. You know, I just want to make sure people realize we do not have a policy inside the city right now that makes that a requirement. So, and that's all I have.
I've just got a few things. There's been discussion on signage to promote Oglesby businesses. Clerk has reached out to a number of individuals, businesses, and requested that they come up with suggested signage to promote Oglesby businesses. I've also reached out and inquired at the state. I just took a little trip out west. Most other states, when you come up like Oglesby, they'll have the number of gas stations, motels, restaurants available. It seems in Illinois we don't. I don't understand why. The city of Oglesby will sponsor a Christmas lighting contest. Information details will be in the city's newsletter when you receive your November utility bill, or you may stop by city office at the info. Julie Montino, Messina of North Central Illinois Artworks Murals will give a presentation to the city as to how we can do artwork on Walnut Street this spring. We've had one business that indicated they would be interested, and I'm sure there will be more. I want to thank the Oglesby Street Department for getting our streets taken care of the other morning. Of course, we discussed over the second page. Interested individuals who intend to file for the April 4th, 2023 election may do so during the filing period from December 12th through December 19th. The clerk's office will be open until 5 p.m. on the 19th for individuals to file for. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivara.